You have like a minimum year's experience.
The type of person who joins us is 5-10 years a branch manager and feels like there's nowhere else to go.
You can't expand if all you're ever going to do is go after 5 to 10 years worth of experience. You need that internal academy. You can't support people at that salary at that point.
You've now got a choice across the market of what we do to what actually suits you. Our agents are running around this week, I think, with pink sunglasses with Beat the Portals written down.
I saw that.
AI will enhance personal customer journey that you deliver. It will never replace it. People are what make this industry.
And that means that their social media account has actual value.
Sometimes the best salespeople don't necessarily make the best managers, and if they don't make the best managers, they won't make the best entrepreneurs and self-employed people either.
So good or bad recruitment can either scale or destroy your agency business. Are you wasting hours on CVs, bad interviews, and paying huge recruitment fees? If so, there's a smarter way. Inside Talent is the Netflix of estate agency recruitment. They hire, train, and retain all under your brand for one simple monthly fee. So, podcast listeners, you're going to love this. Look out and make sure you lock this down. It's 10% off their yearly subscription when you contact the team at Inside Talent and quote #Showdown. Now, you need to check them out, don't you? www.insidetalent.com. Inside Talent, smarter hiring made simple. Welcome to this episode of Estate Agent Showdown, and I'm absolutely delighted to bring two very different powerhouse models to the table today for some interesting debates.
Should be good.
We've separated them up. They've already started fighting outside. So I'm going to introduce you right now to Mike Robson from Avocado, the co-founder with Ian Macbeth, and the wonderful Mark Lawrenson, Operations Director of Beresford's Group. Have I got that right?
You have indeed.
Well, we've got off to a good start. So we're going to dive right in and we're going to talk about various subjects. But the first subject in my mind is the future of estate agency. Is it built on personal brand or is it built on company scale? Who would like to kick me off?
I actually think it's an element of both.
Okay.
And that's not to play fair straight off the bat, to be honest with you. You've got to have an element of personal brand, and personal brand comes from the individual. People are what make this industry. People are what make many industries, and people will buy into that individual person. But you need the powerhouse behind it at the same time.
Okay. Interesting stuff. What about yourself, Mike?
I'm not going to disagree because there'll always be a place for huge corporates on the high street. And what we're seeing at the moment, if you subscribe to any of the industry press, is every day there's a merger and an acquisition and a company growing, whether it be Lomans or LRG or whoever it might be. And there's obviously huge expansion in our market as well. So if you are employed in a role in the high street, it's important if you want to show your value that you bring value to that business. Otherwise, you're an expendable part of a huge organisation, as opposed to being Matt Giggs from Giggs & Co. Being the front and centre of the organisation. So I think regardless of what you do, your personal brand, whether you like that phrase or you don't, I actually like it. Everyone else hates it. I think it's all right.
Well, we talked about it earlier, actually. It's an interesting, some different definitions on it.
Yeah. Some people are a bit icky about it, but I'm okay with it. I think it's important, whatever you do, because if you're the high street manager of a Connells, it's important that you show your value. Otherwise, you can be replaced by anybody else who looks like you. So you should be doing that as well if you're an employee, regardless of whether you're doing it in your own business or under your own steam or under a banner like ourselves.
And tell us a little bit about your kind of background just for a second, Michael, because obviously I see Ian a lot on socials.
You see Ian a lot now behind the camera.
He's actually behind the camera. I won't say he's lost his voice, but no, Mike, you're the co-founder of Avocado. It's been going for quite a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
And where were you before Avocado? Just
so we're 5 years in at Avocado. I'm a letting agent by trade, so we started an estate agency. I've very little sales experience as a person, but I did 6 or 7 years at a local independent and then worked overseas in Dubai for what is now probably the biggest brokerage in Dubai, and then came back and worked for Leaders Romans Group for 7 or 8 years, and then ran an independent for someone because I needed to learn how to run a business, and rather than be a small cog in a massive wheel, I felt like I needed to go and do that, which is the points where Ian and I teamed up to do something different.
Brilliant. And what about yourself, Mark? Because obviously it's good for the viewers to get a little bit of context behind who we've got on the panel today.
So I've been at Beresford for 6 years now. Before that, I was at Portico, which was another independent estate agent in London, and I was there for about 6 years as well. And I dealt with their acquisitions and mergers during that period. Hence the step into the operational aspect. And we basically grew that way buying independent agents or larger multi-chain independents as well across London, and grew it from 4 offices to about 16 when I left. Prior to that, I'm Foxtons, and prior to that, I'm a good old northern estate agent.
We've got another northerner in the room as well, so we'll keep steering well clear of that conversation.
Yeah.
But
wrong side of the Pennines, though.
Just coming back to it, so really corporate and independent backgrounds. Just going back to yourself, Mike, a lot of people are now looking seriously at this self-employed model going out there into the market, and it's been around for some time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new or fresh, but there's certain people that seem to be just kind of making real waves in that area. Why do you think it's becoming more popular now, and certainly looking and sounding like it's going to really catch up with the traditional model?
Well, I think it's something that, like you said, it's been around for years and years, but it hasn't ever been something that's really maybe caught fire or caught the attention of the press, which it has done now. And now you've got EXP as a national, and you've got a group of maybe regional players like ourselves who are doing it really, really well and offering something genuinely different. What we found was when you hit branch manager, or if you wanted to, regional director level, there was nowhere else to go. There was no options for actually having any equity in doing anything. And opening a high street office was almost impossible because of the costs associated and the lag of actually getting paid. So it's a way into almost franchising, to do it yourself, but to do it with lower risk, lower costs. And depending on what you're good at or what you're bad at, you can now choose a model that actually suits you. So if I'm selling ourselves, we're great at teaching marketing, but we don't teach estate agency. We'll only bring on experienced estate agents. Because
do you have like a minimum year's experience?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the type of person who joins us is 5-10 years a branch manager and feels like there's nowhere else to go.
Specific kind of
and
agent.
That's what's been successful for us, because those people, they're fed valuations by their marketing team in their chain estate agents. We need to teach them that. Other models will give you a platform and a real low cost and a cap, so you can go chasing the money. Others will teach estate agency with massive packages of videos and that kind of thing. So you've now got a choice across the market of what we do to what actually suits you, which is great.
A choice within the self-employed
Yes,
sector.
exactly.
You mentioned EXP. They've obviously grown very, very fast. And I did pick up a little bit that you do it differently. And what is it that you do differently compared to the EXP model, for argument's sake, for someone listening to this who's interested in going self-employed?
Yeah, I think there's a big spectrum. I think they're brilliant at what they do and no one can deny it. I think the argument that they're just a recruiting model has been blown away by anyone who has access to the 20EA platform. Will see how many houses they sell.
Yeah.
From my point of view, it's an access point into just working for yourself.
Yeah. It's like the first run.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whereas we know, and what we can show is we'll teach the marketing, and we provide someone with a very, very fixed rule sort of made brand to work under, which will work for some and not for others. If you want your own 100%, this is you brand, well, that's great for you. If you want to work under a brand where you're that person of that company, well, that's where we give the support. So a lot of what we generate huge amounts of business for our agents. We generate masses through our website, we do masses through Google ads, which people don't know how to do, and we do that centrally from our marketing support.
So you're sitting on the side here just whilst we're having that conversation. What's going through your mind? Because obviously you're coming at it from a very different angle in the agency world.
First of all, I disagree with your first comment. I don't think the self-employed model will catch up with traditional at all.
It's all right to put it out there for a bit of controversy.
Yeah, no, why
go
not?
on,
Let's
fire
go.
away.
Let's
Tell us why.
I don't think the culture of this country is necessarily set up for it. You got to remember, I come from the aspect of an independent agency, and I was prior to Beresford. Yes, I've done my corporate days in terms of Foxtons. that again for me is a completely different model to the corporates as we see them. The aspect of people hitting ceilings, again, if you're in the right estate agency, traditional high street estate agency, the independent ones, there aren't necessarily those ceilings. And I think for some people, they want that additional security of knowing that they're in a place where they don't have to wake up every morning making sure that they can actually go out and potentially feed themselves because of the self-employed aspect. They've got that base level, they've got the support of the business, they've got the training, they've got the development. But at the same time, you should never be in this industry if you feel like you're capped. All of our branch managers do have significant promotional structures after being a branch manager. All of our employees get profit shares. So they're all brought into the business. Yeah. So they've got an intrinsic interest and value in wanting to make sure that their independent seat succeeds in terms of what they're generating, that their office does, and then that the business does, because we make sure that everyone is fundamentally a part of Beresford's. But what we then give them is that support. Yeah. I picked up on, what Mike was saying there about people that have got 5 to 10 years experience. I get it, for that model, because you want to make sure people are going to hit the ground running. But I also think that that's become a problem with our industry. We aren't actually bringing through the next generation. We're not bringing through the next talent.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a wider problem. I don't think it's as sexy as it used to be, if I'm completely honest with you. You go back to
I think we would all agree with
totally
that.
Agree, yeah. Unfortunately it isn't. You go back to the days when we were probably all younger and watching things like Boiler Room and all the rest of it in the 90s, and that was the stuff that you got bought into. But at the end of the day, I also think because the model in itself, even from an employed perspective, and I think it's going to be the same for the self-employed, hasn't developed where it is in terms of earning potential at entry level. You're not taking entry level on,
nope,
because obviously you can't support people at that salary at that point. We can train them and develop them, and we've actually made sure that we put things in place that makes it still sexy, so to speak. But you look at a lot of trainee estate agent roles now, it's minimum salary. You can go work in McDonald's.
Do you find, though, when you're bringing people through who are just great agents, in your organisation, do they get promoted to management and leadership roles?
Yeah, they do. Not too soon. Sorry, I thought you meant generally.
I did slip the too soon.
Yeah, I know you did.
I wasn't deliberate.
I was straight on.
Kind of got him in there, didn't I?
Know.
But what I mean by that is there's a lot of agents that they will always earn more selling rather than managing.
Oh, 100%. The best salespeople don't.
And some of these models whereby they're kind of going through the career path, they're going up the ladder, they can sometimes get further away from what they actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, they can. And as I just said, I think sometimes the best salespeople don't necessarily make the best managers. And if they don't make the best managers, they won't make the best entrepreneurs and self-employed people either, because running an office is running a business fundamentally. It's exactly the same thing from that aspect. Yeah, we do. We see it. We see that level of ambition from people to want to very quickly, climb that promotional ladder. I don't think that's a bad thing. I want to see that level of ambition.
Are they more impatient now in that
yeah,
aspect?
Massively. They
are.
Just
a cultural thing? Societal problem?
It's a societal thing. Social media, everyone wants to think that they can be that next superstar that's earning a fortune because they're looking at Instagram every day. As I say, I don't ever want to dampen that in anybody that we bring through, because you want that level of ambition. You want to know that people want to kind of, move through the ranks and succeed. Sometimes, though, it's about being able to sit them down and have the educational conversation with them about, right, you could either step now and trip, or what we could do is we can put in a clear training plan for you that's going to work you through it, that by the time you get there, you've not lost a step on where you were originally.
Yeah.
I go through the years when I've promoted people to area directors, before a previous company, and going from running one office to two is significantly harder, and people's salaries sometimes have to take a step back, and they have to remember that if you're going to climb that ladder, there is that one step back for two steps forward. But what you've then got is the support of traditional estate agency model to make that work.
Okay.
You trip up in the self-employed model, there's no one there to catch you.
How do you feel about that, Mike?
Part of it I agree with, part of it I don't. If you're a company that's offering equity and profit-related bonuses, you probably don't have a problem recruiting or retaining your staff. If you're not sharing with your staff, you probably have a problem with loss at the top. That's the bare bones of it. Is if you're not a great company and you're wondering why you need to recruit 5 managers a year, that's because you're not doing those things. I fundamentally disagree with the security aspect of it. I've been made redundant before. business partner's been made redundant before, and that's totally on the whim of somebody else who makes a decision on their day, whether they want to save money or they want to go in a different direction, or whether they want to make you a scapegoat for doing something or not doing something. As a self-employed individual, I 100% make the choice when I wake up in the morning. Am I going to work hard today? Am I not going to work hard today? Am I succeeding today? Am I not succeeding today? And I can be so much faster in a marketplace than any business as an individual, because I only need to sell one house a month where I live as a self-employed estate agent. I can sleep 300 days a year and sell 12 houses and make more than any branch manager in my town. From a security point of view, there's no doubt around that, because the fees, the whole fees in the UK being poor is just a total red herring. They're not where we are in the southeast. It just isn't true. It's the commission that's poor, that's being paid to employees in companies that don't respect their employees.
Do you find, so just circling back to what we were talking about with bringing new talent into the industry, is that something that, because of your vision of the kind of agents you want to attract, is that something that you might open the door to at some point? Or do you think, do you know what, we'll stay in our lane, we know who's going to come, who we're attracting as such?
We have to find a way of improving it. As a young company, we're 5 years old.
Yeah, because where you are today, was it where you saw yourself being in 5 years?
No, we're well ahead of where we are, because we've got the Avocado business, we've got a survey business, we've got a estate planning business, we've got a mortgage business, we've got the whole thing working. We didn't know where we were going to be when we first opened the doors. We thought we'd be in a box room for two years before we came out. We had 10 agents before we'd even banked a check. We didn't know that was going to happen, but we took the opportunities when we saw them. So we need to find a way within self-employed estate agency of bringing talent through, but fundamentally, we will only ever do something that's right for our client. And when we're promoting that you will be one-to-one with a business owner and you will be selling your biggest asset, you have to have experience to represent you, then there's a clash, and we have to find where we make that work.
Yeah.
Whether that's through sort of academy learning or through some sort of internal head office structure in the future, we don't know what that is yet.
Do you see the model expanding even further across the country in terms of the UK percentage of agents working self-employed, or are you kind of similar to Mark here, thinking that's not going to grow that fast, or they've got more hurdles to overcome yet in terms of growth?
There's always more hurdles to overcome, but from the point of view of how estate agency works, overwhelmingly across the UK, it's a bit of a cottage industry. In any given town, 9 times out of 10, the best estate agent is a local independent estate agent. How you measure that, whether it be my market share or service or best prices or percentages sold, normally the best agent in the town, certainly everywhere in the towns where I live, the independent wins over the corporate, because the corporate doesn't have that specialty where they sit. So corporates haven't taken over. They don't have any kind of market share in the UK.
Do you think I don't know what your thoughts are. Are you exploring the self-employed model as well, or are you sticking to what you do best? No,
I was sticking to what we do. It, as I say, because it works in terms of the culture that we've created. And I think that's the other key thing for me is the culture. I do see it. I see it from the likes of Yopa, and a few other companies out there where the culture, from what I see on social media, is still there. So I won't knock it. They still got the team events, they still get people together. But I think there's that aspect as well that we come across, and it works for some people, I get it, but not others. But it can be a very lonely place to be a self-employed estate agent, and salespeople sometimes don't do well being lonely. We're not bred that way. We're social butterflies. We want to get out there. Exactly. It's all the energy that goes with it. And that, for me, you get that energy and that culture right in one office. That office that is ran by a branch manager, that we don't see them in that way. They are the owner of that business. We teach them it's your name above the door. Have that entrepreneurial spirit for it. But then what they've got is that team around them that they create that culture with, that environment with. When they're maybe having not such a great day, they've got a team around them that can pick them up. It's not a lonely place, but vice versa. And that's how you develop the next talent. Set up an academy. I think it'd be great. I think we need to do that more. But I can't see how, if people aren't learning by osmosis in an environment with the correct culture that we're going to get the next generation of estate agents in this country. And let's be fair, we're always going to be needed. You know, we might be something like the fourth hated in the country behind politicians and bankers, but we're still going to be needed.
I mean, with guys like you on the panel, I can't see why that is. But but the other question I was going to ask you about that, because obviously the AI is really, I mean, you guys, you both invest in AI in your businesses, but how do you see that playing out in your two very different models in terms of growth? Because a lot of people are talking about how that's going to reduce the number of people in their workforces. Is that something that's going to play out in either of yours?
Reduce workforce. I don't think so necessarily. I think AI is there to enhance the customer journey, and that's how it should be deployed and used. And I think that's going to be the same, quite frankly, in any model. We've already said it, that this is a people industry, and people by people. First and foremost, people by people. They want that local expert. That I don't disagree with. You know, and they've got that in Beresford within the guys that we've got in all of those offices. They've got that local expert that's probably been there for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years plus. And that's what they want first and foremost. But then we are now in a digital age, so they want things still at their fingertips. They want the ease of the kind of service that comes with it. And that's where, for me, AI will enhance the personal customer journey that you deliver. It will never replace it.
No, I agree on that point, that for our business, we'll use it to support the individual estate agents so they can do what they want to be doing, which is spending time with the people that they're serving, and it can just cover all of the background tasks. If we go as far as replacing the people on the front line, well, then it just reduces the value of your service. So you can go down that line if you want to, but we've seen it with Purple Bricks to an extent without the AI, but that's what they were pushing. They were pushing, we're a tech estate agency, everything's autonomous. Great. But it didn't work effectively. It was for me, it was a great forerunner to what self-employed estate agents do now. They opened the door to us to do it as version 2, which was the improved version.
What do you think version 3 looks like, chaps? Because there will be one, won't there? More to both models, because I think that, as you mentioned at the start, there's a lot of acquisitions going on in the corporate estate agents. Are they sweeping up data for AI purposes?
The very, very good local independents are now hybriding what they do. So they have a big local hub in a market town, and then the areas that they can't reach or their branch don't really want to go to 20 minutes down the road when there's overflow business, they're now picking up self-employed estate agents. And I see that and I get it. And it's a good way of expanding your business without having to go to the expense and the risk of opening another office. I see why they're doing that. And I think other businesses will take that on board. It'll only work if you've got a good brand. If your brand in your hometown's naff, it just won't take flight, and you won't be adding any value to that self-employed estate agent. They should be doing it for themselves rather than doing it for you if your brand's not very good. That's a version for a lot of high street. I think in corporate estate agency, it continues to merge and it continues to move in its own way, because there's a lot of money coming into the agency. And I think in where we are, we're already feeling it. We're already getting phone calls that there's going to be the same kind of maturity in the next 2 to 3 years, where if you've started a self-employed model, it's really, really hard to make a profit until you hit a certain number of agents and a certain amount of properties being sold. You will start to see those
what sort of
teaming together and making it.
What sort of timelines are you looking at, would you say?
I think our part of the industry kind of matures in 2, 3, 4 years by 2028, 2029, where people really have a good understanding of what it is we do, what it is we can do, how AI can improve our service and make it something that's got some longevity. And it's something that if the self-employed models can prove that their attrition rates are low, that the companies who run these will have a value in comparison to a traditional sales business on the high street, which has very little value other than your sales pipeline. You sell your lettings business when you want to hang your boots up. We see that differently. That will have X number of estate agents, this amount of retention, and that's where we've got that kind of value as a business.
So by that then, are you saying that through the value of that business, there's also exit strategies for the owners of the self-employed model? Because then that security you spoke about disappears, surely.
It's going to happen in every business.
It is. But then that for me is what makes it the same as the traditional side, that security.
Just to make sure the listener gets what you're saying there, Mark, ask that question. So just explain that question to us.
So, yes, every business is about the exit strategy. You were talking about the corporates, version 3. I'll start there first of all. I actually think the corporates will become lettings estate agents because they don't buy a sales book.
Totally agree.
There's no value in a sales book whatsoever. They're hoovering up all the lettings businesses because that is where the value is, because you've actually got a bankroll straight away.
And that's where their sales will come from further down the line.
As I say, it's part of what I did for years as well. We didn't buy a sales business. We bought the lettings book, and if sales was part of it, great, because you could deal with it at the same time. My question there in response to Mike was, if what he's saying is that there will be value added in the next 4 to 5 years of maturing the self-employed model by the person that effectively sits at the top, and that value then becomes something that is interesting for someone to acquire, then that's exactly the same in terms of the security where we started all of this. There's no difference there. They're going to start to trim the fat to make it look healthier. They're going to make sure that the P&L sits a little bit better. They could necessarily kind of cut costs potentially in order to make it a valuable asset that someone else is going to acquire. That's no different than to running a high street estate agent.
What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, effectively, it's a franchise.
Yeah.
So, however you dress it up, self-employed brokerage is not selling is the wrong word, but creating franchise opportunities for people. And if you're in that business, you have to make your business profitable, and you have to make your business work, and you have to make your business grow. And eventually you have to exit that business rather than closing it. Otherwise, you're not running a very good estate agency or any kind of business. The issue I see, the wider issue I see, is very few people under the age of 40 either have the opportunity to open an estate agency or have the ambition to scale one past one office. For various reasons. I just don't see that many young owners of estate agencies. I see an awful lot of them in their 40s, 50s and 60s. Obviously, I've got into my 40s now. We started, I was 36 and I looked a lot younger. It's taken its toll. But you, as a business owner, you have to do that. But as a self-employed estate agent working under a brand, eventually, in one way or another, it's going to change hands, whether it floats on the stock market, whether it becomes acquired, whether it merges, whatever it does. But you will still hold a license agreement to trade, and you will still hold that safety. So you're the value to that business. So you're not at any kind of risk. If you're the value, my estate agents are my value, not my lettings book. We have a lettings book, but really, in my heart of hearts, the estate agents are the value, and I have to make sure that all of my 30 estate agents are really producing and really maximising what they do, because that makes my business work really, really well. I've got no interest in having 200 estate agents who do nothing. Yeah. I'd rather have 30 agents that are really, really good and really, really happy and really, really well served.
How have you got that? Because generally speaking, most people talk about the 80-20 principle.
Yeah.
And 80% of the revenue is done by 20% of the agents. Is that the case in your business, or what about yourself as well? Think about that, Mark.
I would say it's flatter than that, but you still get the absolute
world beaters.
Yeah. There's still the people that
I've seen some of them advertised.
Absolutely.
Some of their earnings. I'm like, I might pack up and get an avocado hoodie at some point.
Yeah, I mean, and proudly, a lot of our estate agents earn an awful lot more than I do. Yeah. We created the model to give people the ability to do that. And you were right. You said the best salespeople should be selling. They shouldn't be managing, and they should be rewarded for doing that. If you're the best salesperson, it's like the best player earns more than the manager in a football team.
It's against the better. It's against the conditioned thinking, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is a hierarchical structure.
You've got to lose your ego to know that your agents are all earning more than you are.
What about yourself there, Mark?
I agree with it in the same sense. You've got to make sure in any business, and I think that's where potentially we're coming from the same angle, just from two slightly separate sides, because I'm not corporate either. I'm an independent estate agent.
Large independent.
And at the end of the day, we treat the business of, I want to make everyone within that business highly successful, because the more successful they are, the more successful the business is, the more successful I am. And I don't, the 80-20, I can see that in the corporate world, not for us. Everyone, because of the value add that we give them within the business, from the support that we give them, from the profit share side of it, from making them accountable for, let's say accountable for themselves in knowing that they've got a part of it. As we grow, they grow, then everyone is contributing. Yes, at different levels. As Mike said, you're going to get your absolute superstars that just take on the world and absolutely destroy it. But then what they're doing is going over above the high level that everyone else is creating anyway, not because they're taking on 20% of what everyone else does at the same point out of the 20-80 rule. So, I don't agree with that, for us at Beresford. I can see it in a lot of other industries or other, estate agents that are out there, and I certainly see it in the corporate world, if I'm honest with you. And we come across it quite a lot, when we recruit as well. You can see the difference in people and the attitude and mentality.
Mike's model, it sounds to me like you've got a very clear vision of who you want to attract into your business.
We've done it for 5 years, and I know that's not the longest period to learn everything in the world. There'll always be more to learn, but we've learnt it through looking at people and looking at who succeeds and who doesn't succeed. And when we first started the business, we started with a target that we will never lose a single partner.
And you haven't, have you?
Yes, we have. It took us about 3.5 years.
I know it's been really
It took about 3.5 years, but we set an impossible target.
Because you wanted to make sure that you'd done everything that you could.
Exactly. You have to set a target.
How many have you lost then?
We've probably recruited, 45 people over 5 years and got 40. Of those numbers, it's a very, very high retention, and I dare to put my hand up and say we probably got the highest retention rate.
It's one of the reasons why I reached out to Ian as well, because
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say, having gone self-employed myself when I first started my own business, and I came out of a corporate countrywide, it was eye-opening, the difference of running your own business to being told what to do.
Yeah.
And that's a real shock for a lot of people. So that's impressive.
And we're there to try and make it easier, because you can go and start your own business, and anybody who does it with a self-employed model and then goes on to start a new business, people like me should be congratulating them the first at their grand opening to support them. That's the one thing we found more surprising and more eye-opening than anything else, is having worked for big companies where everything was inward facing.
Yeah.
That the minute you start your own business, the amount of help and support and encouragement that you get from other people who have done the same thing, regardless of industry, is mind-blowing. And we're there to create those days and create that culture, as you say, to keep people together, because every salesperson's different. That some people want a pat on the back, some people want a high five every time they sell a house, because if you sat in your garden office and you make the biggest deal of your career and you've got no one to talk to about it, it's a bit of an anticlimax, right? And that's what we try to prevent from happening, is to try and bring people into a culture that's all going in the same direction.
So it seems really clear, and I think clarity is power. I think we talked about it in a previous podcast earlier about marketing and how people look at their marketing to attract the right client, knowing your client persona. It's almost as important when it comes to your agent persona, right? Would you say the same?
Yeah.
So looking at your business model, what are you looking towards the trainees, the new entrants, would you say, and then putting them on that career path with you?
Yeah, definitely. You have to have a model in place where you're developing the next generation. There will be periods, where you look at bringing more senior people in. But again, thankfully, we don't have a high attrition rate. We certainly don't, from our assistant managers, branch managers, upwards, in terms of what they generate and what they're doing in the career path that they're on, they don't move on. But at the end of the day, we're still looking to expand as well. And you can't expand if all you're ever going to do is go after 5 to 10 years worth of experience. You need that internal academy that you're generating and training. We're always recruiting. We've got a new business center at our head office, that can always be there to enhance the customer journey again. So it's not just, we talked about AI earlier. We've got to make sure that if our agents are doing what they do best and they're out selling houses or they're out valuing houses, that customer journey doesn't stop. So they get a team of trained effectively trained estate agents at our head office that can continue that customer journey for them through the new business centre. But that's the perfect training ground. We constantly recruit the juniors that will go in there and they'll spend a period of time understanding our industry, what it takes to be successful in the industry. The legislation that now goes with it, the AML side of it that we've got to deal with, and all the other aspects that have now come into play. There's a hell of a lot more to learn than was when,
we
20 odd years ago when we started, where you just sold a house and rang a bell at the end of the day to say, well done, you've made an exchange. So you've got to make sure you're putting people through that academy and that training that's going. So we are constantly recruiting on the aspect of wanting to make sure we've got that next generation, but that next generation for our business as well as the industry. And I think that's key critical. Otherwise, we're going to end up at a point where are we going to be with people wanting to either be successful independent estate agents that are still climbing a ladder to independent estate agents if we've not actually brought them into the industry and trained them in the first place?
I think you've raised some really good points there. I'm just going to go back to the client experience, because let's be honest, that's what we're all here to do, is deliver the best experience. Is it right to suggest that the one-to-one approach, cradle to grave, agent to client, agent to vendor, is going to provide a better outcome and experience than a larger team where 4 or 5 people could be involved in the transaction? What are your thoughts on that first, Mark?
I think it's and I'm not to catch splinters, I'm not going to sit on a fence here. It's a bit of the two. We are certainly not, again, as I would know from some of the corporates, one person goes out and values it, that's it, you never speak to them again. The next person takes over the sales, you never speak to them again. The next person takes over the sales progression, you never speak to them again. No. You will still have the person that values your property and goes out is still your primary contact. But yeah, you've got a team of sales agents, you've got a team of consultants. They're going to be carrying out viewings, that are going to be dealing with buyers, that are going to be negotiating. Ultimately, you will then maybe deal with 1, 2, or 3 people, because you're going to have those different individuals that have carried out the viewing and have got the feedback and have got the insight for you. I think for me, that makes sure that the customer journey is spot on. If you are cradle to grave with one person and that one person is absolutely flat out and you want to get on the phone and speak to someone, who do you talk to?
I don't know. Ask Mike. What are your thoughts on
that? The cradle to grave works better if that one person is good. Pure and simple. That one person has to be good. If they're no good, it falls down and it doesn't work. That's why we recruit the right people that we recruit, rather than recruiting with no experience, then teaching people whilst they're messing up people's lives. That's why we only go into experienced agents and then teach them the business side of things. We feel that the model was broken somewhere in the 90s with, like you just said, the manager, the valuer,
structure,
the 3 negs, and then the 2 trainees and the Saturday person. I had a job once where all I did was list houses, and I could list 500 houses a year. I would never. I didn't have a company mobile. I didn't know how to use a CRM, and I didn't pick up the phone when I went into the office. I just turned up with pink sheets. That was my job. It was a great job.
Sounds like you're bloody good though, with 500 listings a year.
It was back in the days when buy-to-let was fashionable. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, but that wasn't great for a client, because I would go out and impress people,
and they wouldn't get to see you again.
No, and they couldn't find me.
It's fair to say, like you said, they've got to be good. So in that model where the brand does carry a lot of weight, if you're a complete dick, you're probably not going to win the listing. So being really good definitely helps win the listing. And then at the next point, it's they don't know where you've gone, and then they're getting somebody else, and then somewhere else, and somebody else. How do you kind of move around that from your, because the more team-led models, you can call it traditional, whatever you like. The challenge is being up against that person that offers that one-to-one experience, who is good.
True. First of all, I didn't realise we could swear. My northern tongue has been doing my best to not, to be honest with you.
Now,
I was going to say, it's all going to go
that one off
slightly
earlier,
west.
shouldn't I, really?
Yeah, you should have done it. As a northerner, I've been sweating, to be honest with you. First of all, I want to pick up a point there of the young person that messes up someone's life. Well, you were a young trainee once. Did you mess up someone's life?
I'd like to think I didn't.
And that, for me, could be what's wrong with the industry, though, because if we've got that attitude, we're never going to train the next generation. We've got to give them a chance. But we've got to train them. We shouldn't let them loose on all aspects of what they need to do with an estate agency, because they've still got a hell of a lot to learn. But you can't then say that within the self-employed model, because they've all got 5 to 10 years experience, they're not going to get anything wrong. But at the same point, to support our industry, the client comes first, 100%. But to support our industry in terms of it still developing and the next generation coming through, if we adorn that attitude, then in 30 years, when we possibly all have hopefully retired, who takes over?
Interesting point. But just coming back to that though, so how do you, because I get a feeling that the younger generation, I'm not trying to be stereotypical here. With
These young kids.
These young kids. I mean, I've got 3 kids.
Here we
but
go.
There is an element where they can be described as work shy, or they lack a little bit of resilience. And let's be honest. Let's be really honest. Estate agency can often feel like you're a therapist. It can often feel like you're a marketeer. You're a negotiator. You wear so many different hats across that journey. How hard is it really to teach a lot of the generation coming through who want to be up the ladder faster than they've earned it?
For me, it comes back to that aspect of the cultural osmosis within an office. You know, that is key critical. Academies are great and you need them, and we've got them as well. You've got to have that training program that goes with it. But you're right, you can't always deliver that constant one-to-one training. So if you've not
you learn on the job, right?
Exactly, that's the point. And you're going to learn by spending time in that office, surrounded by experienced, well-established, bloody good estate agents and what they do. And it's that osmosis learning that's going to go with it. That, for me, is where culturally it fits. It works.
Do you feel like a lot of the market are in between models at the minute? And they're in between knowing what they actually stand for, who they actually are, and who they're looking to attract? What feels
corporate,
feels a little bit clearer that you kind of know
Yeah.
the direction of the kind of clients you want to work with, the agents that you want, and you're very clear on yours. But do you feel like a lot of agents out there at the moment that might be listening to this are thinking, it all sounds great, but I don't know where the hell I am at the minute. I don't know which place to start, where to start.
I think there's a place to do what you do well, however you do it.
Yes.
I mean, but only if you can get your message across that's what you do. If you can say succinctly, this is what we do and this is why. It's like we only bring in estate agents who are experienced because we want to provide the best possible service, because at the moment we can't train like you can train in a very, very high quality independent. It's where I learnt my craft and I would support it. I think going back to new trainees and that kind of thing, I think 15, 20 years ago when we all started, people were more impatient to progress then and more cutthroat, and the culture was harder. I was a manager within 18 months and I wasn't ready to manage people, but I certainly knew about my place in the office and what I was doing and how I was doing it. Was I ready to run my own business? Absolutely not. Probably thought I was, but I was in my 20s. From the point of view of estate agents and what they think and what they know and where they should be, I think the problem with estate agents is everybody likes something shiny and new. And the minute they see someone else making a success of doing something, they'll try and emulate it or buy it or copy it just to be on that bandwagon. And I don't think that's how it should work in any way, shape or form. Like if you try and have a foot in every single camp, you'll end up with nothing.
When you started, who chose the hoodies? Whose idea was that?
The design. Well, when
I would say the hoodies. I mean, it's just the brand. It was
the
so
hoodie,
clear,
the hoodie,
it stood out there.
Ian had the credit. The secret is the original logo was yellow and brown, which wasn't great. And it doesn't come out much, but it comes out on the occasional anniversary. This is what you could have won. But yeah, no, the hoodie was a symbolic thing to show, how do you show you're different to a traditional high street estate agent?
Yeah.
And we're going after a certain type of customer. We're not going out for everybody. We're saying, well, we move families. We're not at the high end of the market. If I walk into a £5 million home, they're not going to expect to see me dressed like this. And we're not going after the bottom of the market. We're middle-aged people with young children. We understand what time poor looks like, and we're going to concierge you through it. And by the way, we're going to talk like you, look like you, react like you, and help you. And if that eliminates part of the market, we're fine with that.
We were talking about this earlier. It's actually, the great marketing means you do divide, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you've done. I think what you've done by doing that, and then doing I remember seeing some videos with agents that were looking like they're in their previous role, shirt, tie, waistcoat, if you like, and then next thing you know, they...
I thought we'd deleted those.
Well, I just thought I saw...
You got them. You downloaded them.
But it stood out as, we want that type of experienced person. We want them to feel they're going to move into something that's very different, and it's going to appeal to the thing that they believe in terms of the client service, client experience in a particular marketplace. It all felt genius. At first, when I saw it, I thought, fucking hell, what the hell is all that about? But really didn't take me long to realise straight away you knew what you stood for. You knew, and again, I think that's a really important part, going back to the point I was making about agents. Do they really know their market?
Yeah. If you ring an estate agent and say, what do you specialise in? They say, we sell anything.
Yeah.
And
do you think that's the biggest thing that people need to get right from the off?
If you place yourself in a market that exists,
niche it. 100%.
You should. Our agents, our best agents who make the most money and make their clients the happiest, they work in such tiny communities that they will walk to listing appointments rather than be like, oh, I specialise in Cambridgeshire. Like, well, even if you're in Cambridgeshire, like, well, where in Cambridgeshire?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense if
so
we're
they've got a
trying
micro
to
market. They're known in that area.
Yeah.
They're seen everywhere. They're, like you say, they walk to appointments.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really clear model.
If you're an agent in London, no London agent say we're the London agent. They're going to say we're the Battersea agent, or we're this. We're gonna narrow down because we're talking to a specific type of client.
And what about yourself with Beresford?
Again, I don't disagree with that in terms of you are the agent for that area, and that again is what we've got set up, with the network of 17 offices that we've got all across Essex. They are the Gidea Park agent, the Hornchurch agent, Brentwood agent, so on and so forth. I think with that though, because we've got, the weight of the brand that is Beresford's there as well, and we've got the vast experience and the training in place, it's certainly not that pick up the phone, don't worry, we can deal with anything. But we make sure that we have the niche specialisms, fucking can't get my words out now, to deal with the entire market at the end of the day. Because for me, you can't build a chain from the middle of the market.
Yeah.
And you're not just going to get the middle of the market if you can't build a chain. You've got to build a chain from the top down. So you've got to be able to go after the 2, 3, 4, 5 million pound houses, which we do. But then as a result of that, the knock-on cascade is that we can turn around and say, as that chain builds down, they may have that 3 million pound house, that's in mid-Essex, then the next one down is in Brentwood, and then the next one down is in Gidea Park, and no problems. We've got a specialist team of local independent estate agents that can now support you on that journey, and we can run the full life cycle of it that goes with it. And then on top of that, interesting what Mike was saying, we've got the same. We've got Flagstone, mortgage company, largest independent mortgage brokers in the southeast. Thought I'd just drop that in there quickly.
Don't worry, they're on their phones.
It's all right. So, and then we've got Cheek & Co, our survey company. We can deal with the entire aspect, but none of that is saying that one person is a jack of all.
No.
We have the specialisms that deal with every
kind of
aspect
links
of
everything
it.
up.
Exactly.
Just going to go on to another topic, and that's Rightmove. And I've filmed 6 or 7 episodes now, and there's some different opinions on the future of Rightmove. I think it's largely been based and brought about through the advancements of how people search. So the AI language model, and where do people go to first? What are your thoughts on the next 5 years? And I'll say 5 years. It could be a lot sooner. You tell me what your thoughts are on Rightmove, and will it continue to be as important to agents as it is today?
First of all, I love Rightmove because they are the headline sponsor of our property.
I know! I saw it on his post!
You knew it. You baited me with this one, and you have absolutely baited me.
But is that what you really think?
How much is on the line?
When's your event? It's next month, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's September. 18th of September.
Oh, okay.
Still got tickets available.
No, I'm just thinking about when we can put this out so we can get your real opinion on it.
You're going to have to wait for that. No, genuinely, is there a place for Rightmove? 100%.
Of course.
I think the Rightmove model is already adjusting. I think they are also looking at the fact that the industry is changing as a whole. There is the introduction of, independent self-employed estate agents. The franchise models out there are growing. And the way people interact with wanting to buy, sell their houses is changing as well. And I think there's a definite shift from Rightmove in more of that supporting aspect of estate agents. You look at the things that they've started to introduce and release, and they're trying more and more to say, hey, it's not just about a portal where a consumer goes. These are the tools that we're bringing to the table that can help support anyone, be it an independent estate agent, or
do you think
or
they've
kind of
lost the
larger
dressing
model.
room, though?
I think they did for many years. If I'm honest with you, I think they did.
Because I get the feeling like estate agents would rather see them fail.
I think a lot out there potentially.
And that means they're not actually looking at the things that can help them within.
That's what I'm trying to say.
toolbox.
I think they lost the dressing room for a while because they weren't necessarily spending the time with estate agents properly to establish the relationship to say, look at how we can help you. We've got a bloody good account manager who we spend a lot of time with, and jokes aside about the property dinner, which they are sponsoring. It's more the aspect for years. Even I sat there and said, well, what are you giving me other than an invoice once a month? What are you giving me other than every year you show up and tell me that my prices are going to go up by X%, and you've got nowhere to move with it. And I think that's where I have seen them change. Certainly from my perspective, I know there will be agents out there that say, no, I still see it that way it was a few years ago. We're now getting value add as well that goes with it. And I think Rightmove knows that they need to position themselves that way. And let's be fair, the CoStar acquisition of On The Market probably prompted that more and more. Although we've not really seen that establish itself, if I'm completely honest with you.
Okay, your thoughts on that in a second, Mike. What are your thoughts on Rightmove?
I'm going to be hated by every portal by the time this is going to start.
No, we've took it easy so far. You wait till the next section.
I probably don't have the same sway that you do with Rightmove and the same kind of contact and relationship, to be honest. The first thing is people think that self-employed brokerage is just a way to circumnavigate Rightmove bills. I'll tell you for free, as the person who pays the bill, it's not. They know exactly who we are, how we do it, and how to bill us for it.
They're very, very. They don't miss a trick, do they?
No. I think they missed a trick for about 3 weeks with us, and then were straight on the phone and decided they'd create a new package to make it work. It's important for now because what the client wants is a place where they can see all the properties. My problem, I guess, is that it still looks... I can't remember it looking any different from 2005, apart from a logo change.
It's very different.
If I look at portals overseas, like in the UAE, for example, they've already built in AI and chat into it. So I can, rather than type in, I want a house in Wokingham that has 2 or 3 bedrooms, and then just getting a list, which, if you remember the free ads or whatever, is very much down those lines, I can say, I want to see the best rental investment in Dubai Marina from the point of view of X, Y, and Z, and it will categorise everything, and it will give me my top 3.
And it'll give you a breakdown.
Yeah. And there's no reason why that can't be put in. Otherwise, the external forces of chat, this, that, and the other, as it takes hold, if people adopt it as their main search engine, because Google could have done this years ago if they really wanted to, they can't be asked.
Yeah, it's going to overtake, isn't it?
It is.
It's just adoption. At the moment, people want to go to Rightmove because it's simple. That's why people like Rightmove. It's easy. It's the first place. They think Rightmove is an estate agent.
Which is what they've done brilliantly.
That's the estate agent's fault.
25 years of...
Most estate agents have been advertising Rightmove in their windows.
They're the best marketer for Rightmove. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Do you think that's where they're all going wrong? Or the ones that do that are going wrong instead of sharing like you would, I know, your life cycle users as well? I mean, Mark was always encouraged to use your own links and send people to your own sites and build your own brand. But a lot of people seem to share Rightmove links, and
it depends if you understand what
marketing.
Your website does.
Yeah, and if your website can actually deliver an experience.
Yeah. Like openly, I don't know how it works. I just know what the principle is, so I do it. I let the people in the background run our website, retarget the traffic, do this, that, and the other. But we sell loads and shed loads of properties before they go to Rightmove at fantastic money, because our clients understand if they're going to stop it going to Rightmove, they have to pay the sticker price or more to get it. And our clients love that. Our agents are running around this week, I think, with pink sunglasses with "Beat the Portals" written down.
I saw that the other day.
You should have brought some. You gave them all away, didn't you?
That's for the next time when I get you on as well. But just going back to that, just explain that a little bit more, just so the viewer understands how you don't sell properties through Rightmove and your approach, your different approach to that.
Well, all of our agents have social media accounts, and this is not just about posting on social media, it's about paid advertising and campaigns for each house. So you're putting the type of house that someone's going to want to buy onto their feed, and that means that their social media account has actual value rather than just posting photos every week of, look, we're an estate agent, look, we're an estate agent, look, we're an estate agent. Is this house doesn't come on the market for 7 days. If you want to see this house, you have to contact me. So people start following those accounts to know that in that town, if they want the jump, they go there first and they talk to those estate agents. It's about creating conversations where nobody in this world wants a phone call. We would 2-hour drive, and if my phone rings with an unknown number, my motivation to pick up that unknown number, especially if it's a landline, is pretty damn low. Let's be honest, nobody wants a call from an estate agent out of the blue.
No.
Unless you already have a pre-existing relationship, which means your number's saved with that person. So it's creating that interaction with people. And as far as CRMs go, is using it properly, not it just being a database of names and numbers from 15 years ago. It's who's active, what are they doing, and why are they doing it. So people can register themselves into a good CRM, control their own search because they want to control their own search, and be fed the right information when it's applicable to them.
So where do you see Rightmove though? Where do you see do you see it shifting? I think you were saying they're going to advance it and improve it. You would be crazy if they didn't,
They'll
right?
have to, yeah.
I mean, I'm saying that like I think they will.
They're already way ahead.
They are, but I agree with Mike in the aspects of what he was just saying there. You know, when I go back to when I was a wee northern estate agent, I didn't sell a property because someone made a Rightmove inquiry. That wasn't the property I sold them. It never was. You know, you sold them the property because you understood their requirements. You established that trust. You established the relationship. And then you have the conversation with them and say, great, we can show you that one. But actually, there's a few others you see as well. They might not fit what you've just told me now because everybody makes a compromise at the end of the day and they have to go out there and see them. I think if and this is probably where Rightmove position themselves significantly wrong. Unfortunately, they're the beast that we all stick with. I love you guys. But
that's the clip.
Yeah. They're the beast that we all stick with. But if buying a property was as simple as opening a catalogue and going, I want that one, estate agents wouldn't exist and Rightmove would be it. That's never going to change. It will never change because that is not how you're going to buy and sell a property. So yes, there's a place for them. There is a place for the portals because when people first start their search, they're not going to want a random phone call. They want to go to somewhere where they can see all the properties in that area they're looking. But what they still then need to be encouraged to do to make their search advance quicker is once you've defined, right, there's the 2 or 3, establish that relationship with the local independent expert. That's the person that's going to sell you your property. Not Rightmove, not Zoopla, not on the market.
On the market. Are you both with it? Are you on?
Yeah.
No? I'm
Nope.
not. Okay. Big investment, big money going into it. I'm not sure we've seen it yet. There was a lot of talk probably a year or so ago.
We've not seen anything from it. I'm not quite sure why, if I'm honest with you. You know, there was a lot of press about CoStar coming in and taking over, and what they were going to do to revolutionise, the kind of portal market in this country. To be fair to CoStar, you look at what they've done with Home in America, and they did grow it from something like the 10th portal in the US, and they're now like the 3rd. So they have kind of grown that as a challenger. And there is speculation out there that maybe that's one of the things that they're doing. They're looking actually at a global portal, and there will possibly be a rebrand, in this country before they start.
There's got to be a reason why they've not pressed on with their original promises, right?
Yeah, and that's the problem there. Original promises. I think there were promises of what they were going to do.
Well, I was at an event last year. I can't remember what it was now, but I think it was maybe Jason or something. I tell you, this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to look. I don't know, just from distance. I see an awful lot. To be honest.
I mean, I went to
other than not many leads.
I went to the kind of press conference launch with Jason Tebb when CoStar first took over, and and unfortunately was filmed in the audience and had my account managers from the other portal saying, "Oh, I can see you're the new on the market poster boy," because for some reason it was me that they showed in all the clips that were out there. I was like, for fuck's sake. But from that event, which I think was like 18 months ago, nothing. It's just not changed.
What are your thoughts on
I
that,
get a
Mike?
monthly call just saying,
Do you wanna
join on
do
the
it?
market, CoStar bought us.
Yeah.
And as a client, as a user, as
And?
a paying customer, and I don't really have an interest in what CoStar is. Just like I don't know who owns
How
Zoopla
does that help
currently.
you?
Like, it doesn't bother me. If the product's good, the product's good. If the product's bad, the product's bad. If 98.5% or whatever the stat starts their search with Rightmove, what do? That's different because
Well, there's been a few attempts.
I'm pretty
haven't there?
confident I've got the market if I'm somewhere else.
I mean, I don't know. I don't get too drawn into it. I think Zoopla, have they just been sold? Or in the process?
They're
of
up
being-
for sale. They are up for sale apparently. I think they're probably going to become more of a tech brand, with Vibra and the other aspects also that they've got in the background. Speculating there massively, but I think that's probably the route they're going to go down. But they are up for sale apparently.
for a lot less than they were bought for
No comment.
a few years ago. But I don't know. It just feels like there needs some more innovation in that space.
Yeah, well,
And we're in a place to do it, right?
I think all portals need more innovation. I think none of them are necessarily innovating.
It feels like someone's going to be coming up soon, and I think there's going to be a rapid rise of someone at some point very, very soon, because it does feel like there's just a gap.
There is, but
Huge
for
gap.
me, this is the window. If you've got it, if you're in a position to do it,
Yeah.
why are we waiting for the innovation from the portals? Do your own website, do your own marketing.
Well, I think
do your
agents
own
have got
CRM.
that. More agents are doing that. I think now
And they
should be promoting their own brands.
we've got to remember, Rightmove took over from newspapers.
Yes, they did.
Rightmove didn't take over from another portal.
No.
It did something entirely
Different.
different.
Yeah.
So another portal coming over to take over, another portal will not take over Rightmove.
No.
He said confidently into the camera, to be brought back in 2 years' time.
We can save that one.
I don't see how it can ever happen. Only something else can come in and replace what a portal does. Because if you've got 98.5% market share or whatever that number is, I don't know, I'm not quoting it, then you can't, not without £1 trillion, can you destroy that kind of dominance and monopoly of a market. So bringing in a new portal, like Boomin was or wasn't a portal, I don't know, but it was never going to work because you just don't have that kind of firepower to turn the whole country from using Rightmove to Boomin, who we didn't know how to spell. So it needs to be something else entirely, and it can be chat, it can be AI totally destroying that. If the whole country go, do you know what, I don't Google things anymore, or whatever, I don't go to Rightmove anymore automatically.
Well, let's ask this room. Bertie. No, he's not in. Who have we got now? Come on, tell us. What are your thoughts? Where do you go and search? You still Google? Ian? Chat? Mike?
I Google because I love the AI function built into it. But I'll
'Cause
throw,
it does that,
I'll throw
brings
a
that
left
up
field.
first.
My wife uses TikTok to search.
My kids do.
So
Chat.
Yeah. That's quite over. That's a big shift. That's a big shift.
I don't even know what TikTok is.
Shut up! I've seen you on it at the CoStar event that you're at. I think what I've took away from today is that there is an alignment for sure. And then we say it's a debate, but you've got a completely different model, which we can all see and hear. What it feels to me like we've arrived at today is that independent, structural, traditional, done well, can be just as successful, if not more, than the majority of self-employed models out there. Self-employed done well, clear vision, clear market, clearly knowing where you're heading, clearly knowing who you want to join your business, has served you well from a retention and profitable point of view. A lot more than I could say, because a lot of the self-employed models have really struggled for profit. And I think that's been really clear to see. So thanks for opening up and sharing your different models and different opinions and experiences so far. It's been really, really interesting and fascinating. So thank you again, Mark, and thank you,
Matt.
Mike. Cheers.
pleasure.
So that's a wrap for this episode. I'd like to thank Mark and thank Mike for joining us today, and the live studio audience that we've got behind us who didn't
First
say a
live
word.
podcast, isn't it?
It's the first live one. It's probably the fucking last, but if I'm honest. But no, it's been really interesting, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Plenty to take away. Make sure you download, subscribe, like, comment. Tell me if you want to be on the show, or tell me if you want someone that's got even more to say than these two on the show, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.